Hi, everybody. Welcome back to CAEL Live. If you remember, I said we would start each episode with a quote, and as promised, here's your quote today. Paper isn't important, it is the words on them that are important. So as you know, you're supposed to tell me who this quote is by below. I'll just repeat it one more time. Paper isn't important, it is the words on them that are important. This quote is said by a popular Canadian figure who was born in Ottawa. There's your clue. And I will obviously reveal the author and talk about them a little bit towards the end. But if you know the answer already, please comment below and please do not Google it. Okay, let us start our show. Hello again. My name is Ashwati, and if you're joining us for the first time, in this series, we will guide you through your journey to Canada as an international student. We will be talking about international student life, Canadian higher education, admissions, and much more. At the end of our main segment, we also have some English language tips to help you score better in your CAEL test. Now, if you're wondering what the CAEL test is, the CAEL test is an academic English language test. The difference between this and the other English tests is that this one is specifically made for students who wish to study in Canada. This test is accepted and preferred by more than 180 institutions all over Canada, and it can now be taken online at home. So if you're located in Canada and are looking to take the CAEL test, you will be able to take it from the comforts of your home. So there is a link in the description below for you to check out. Please do so after this episode. So in today's episode, we're talking to NADIA D'LIMA, who is the Manager for International Educational Services at Centennial College in Ontario. Let's give her a warm welcome. Hi, Nadia. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today. I briefly introduced you a little bit before, but could you tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yes, sure. I'm so happy to join you today. Thank you for having me on your channel. I oversee international student transition programs at the college, and we basically support students out of the classroom to enrich their experience during their journey with us. I've been doing this work for over 10 years now, and with an amazing team, and we've designed and implemented many successful programs to engage students from over 102 countries. I recently acquired a new portfolio, the Global Experience Portfolio. And so while all our travel is on hold at the moment, we have a number of virtual global experience opportunities for students who are interested in doing an international internship as part of their program.
Oh, that's a very lucrative opportunity for a lot of students. It's exciting. I wish we had that opportunity when I was one. So you mentioned that you did this for 10 years and I'm sure you've met a lot of international students during your career. And in your opinion, what makes Canada a better choice for higher education? I would value your opinion, but I also want to know if international students have reached out to you and told you why they prefer to study here or some other country.
To international students, really the world is their oyster, right? They look at all of these different countries, and I'm sure now with Google and the internet, you can do so much research into looking at pros and cons. And I'd say 9 times out of 10, students come here because come here to Canada because of our openness and diversity and multicultural. Multiculturalism is alive in so many different aspects of Canadian lifestyle. It's easy for them to adapt and make friends. Chances are they know someone who's come to Canada before, and so they want to connect and they want to learn more about that experience. In terms of excellence in academia and research. We have some of the world's highest ranked universities and colleges, and to that we attract some of the best faculty members. So they're getting quality education, and the learning experience is rich and filled with innovative opportunities. I know that's the case with Centennial. Our faculty are connected to industry. And so when students come in, they're not just sitting in the classroom, but they're connected to their industry that they're interested in getting involved with and working in. I think also now more than ever, safety and quality of life have a big role to play in the student's decision. And I think our economy has shown that it has been really stable in the last few years, and our students who complete their program and who graduate are able to find really meaningful employment opportunities and able to contribute to the Canadian landscape. So I could go on, but I'd say these are definitely our top main reasons, and this is what our students tell us, that this is what's important to them.
Actually, that's a lot of good information that you just gave me, because I have so many questions that I have based on the content. You spoke a little bit about multiculturalism in Canada. So I want to go dive deeper into that, and want to know if you can tell me a little bit about the diversity in your college. How does Centennial celebrate cultural diversity?
Yeah. Well, Centennial is located in the Greater Toronto region. And if you don't know Toronto, we have sort of everything under the sun in when it comes to food, when it comes to music, when it comes to just anything really, any groups, any neighborhoods that or cultural groups rather, not necessarily neighborhoods, but we sort of have Torontonians sort of boast, we have the world in our city, and it's true. And because Centennial is located in the sort of Greater Toronto area, we have campuses all over the city. We attract students of many different backgrounds, and to be quite honest, it's hard to tell an international student apart from a domestic student. And so I think our international students right off the bat feel that sort of sense of belonging right from the get-go. And it's so important when you're the new kid, or you're just brand new into the country, that you feel like you can connect with other people who may have not just similarities in language or in how they look, but in interests, right? And so there's so much to offer. The city for what I mean is the city has so much to offer in that. When going back to the diversity at Centennial, the values of global citizenship and equity are almost embedded into everything we do. We have global citizenship and equity curriculum that's integrated into each program. So every student is required to take a course in global citizenship before they complete their studies. The tenets of global citizenship and equity are embedded even into our programming in extracurricular activities. So it's not just about raising awareness and a call to action, but we want, like, the idea is to expand and enrich our students' way of knowing, their way of doing and engaging with our community. And actually, I should say, it's not just students. Staff are required to take global citizenship and equity training as well.
Wonderful. I think that the part about the staff also really is an important point, because I know a lot of students look up to their professors and for guidance. So that is a really good tip, information. And speaking a little bit about the services that you just mentioned, of all the services you do provide at Centennial, is there one that is more popular among the international students? Is there something that our prospective students can look forward to?
Yes, for sure. We have a number of different services that students take advantage of from from when they transition in. In fact, even before they arrive, we have a program called Head Start. It's a pre-arrival program where even before they land in Canada, it's designed to get them ready for um, things like banking, like how to open a bank account, how to get around the city, like who's going to pick me up from the airport, to those sort of logistical stuff, to what does a Canadian classroom look like? How am I going to make friends? How am I going to meet? How am I going to engage with my professors? We have opportunities for students to engage with their faculty members even before they arrive. And once they arrive, our services target the different stages of a student's journey here. So we call it the transition in program, through and out. So we're really looking at what are the needs of a first semester student. What do they need, in the first few months versus the first year? And I'd say our immigration advising services too are really, really important. So besides all of the fun activities that we plan for students and getting them settled in, we have an in-house team of registered immigration international student advisors that provide information sessions, workshops, one-on-one appointments to serve students. The immigration regulations in Canada play such an important role in a student's life. And in recent months, so much has changed with regards to regulation. So it's really important to have a professional who can guide and provide that critical, up-to-date information to students, both with regards to like their studying and working in Canada. And also, a number of students come with their families. With sometimes they'd come with their spouse and children. We have a number of post grad programs that attract students that have, this is not their first post secondary experience. Um, so they might have done, their training, their skills, and they're coming here to update their or to get a Canadian education and to update their skills. And so the ones that come with families need additional supports as well. And we find that we have more students coming in with their families too. So that whole immigration piece ties into supporting those students as well.
That's interesting. I would, so like if this fact that a lot of students come with their families is something that I did not expect. I do know that people come with their families, especially if they're trying to get their PhD. If they have to be in a place for a long time, they do, of course, bring their families. But you're talking about these are students who are just doing like their masters, and you're saying that these are also
Yeah,
the people who come with their families.
they might have already done their masters, but they're coming in for what we call our postgraduate programs. So they might
Mm-hmm.
be 1 or 2 years. And I'm not an immigration advisor, but the spouses have an opportunity to work in Canada, and while the student is studying. And so some students take advantage of having their, so that they're not breaking their families up. And so the spouse will sometimes come, and student and their kids can study in Canada as well. And so we support those students as well. But immigration plays, just hands down a role in like your study permit, your work permit, and just knowing, what forms you need to fill. And our team is quite busy these days with answering questions, and each case is so unique. And so I'd say the bulk of our work goes into supporting students who have those questions.
Great. We also get a lot of immigration questions, but unfortunately, we can't answer them because of the service we provide. So it's good that there are other services within your college that does provide answers to them. But one thing that I do want to ask in continuation to the conversation we just had, one of the most common questions we also get from prospective students is about the standard of living and affordability. And I know that, or maybe there is, but as far as I'm aware, there isn't one set answer to this question. But could you, if in your opinion and in your like expertise, do you know how much cost of living differs from province to province? And is there one golden location for prospective students coming to study here?
Yeah, we on our website actually we have a really nice expense sheet for students to
Oh,
sort of like
perfect.
check off or tick. We help students plan right from the start. We know what it's like to to bear the financial burden of a student. It's not easy, first of all, making that decision, and it's an investment in their future. And so our team created a handy expense sheet from that would sort of highlight your monthly expenses to get people thinking about what they might need to plan for. So, tuition costs are right up there, but what might you require for food, for groceries, for example, for eating out, for transportation? And cost of living differs from province to province. So while they say rent might be, more expensive in Toronto or Vancouver, right, compared to Halifax, I did my research when we were creating this handy cheat sheet, so to speak, and I was blown away by internet costs in Halifax. Like, it's not something you would think about, right? Because it's pretty competitive, all the different companies that offer you things like internet. But while rent prices are expensive in bigger cities like Vancouver and Toronto, things like internet and groceries are more expensive in smaller cities. So it balances out because of the demand and demographic. And we like to talk to students through our Head Start program about how to budget and save money. We also have support systems for students to access our career center to help them look for part-time jobs while they're here in Canada. And it's great that students can actually find jobs on campus too. So we have a really great student association, student club on campus, and they are the biggest employer for students over 5 campuses now and 2 learning sites. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So, what kind of opportunities do they have at the student club?
They pretty much, like, it's the student association, Centennial College Student Association, and everything from like administrative positions to hospitality to networking opportunities. They do stuff like this, like on social media. So I know they have like their marketing crew. Um, it's There's such a diversity in terms of opportunities. It's not your average student part-time job, and our office hires international students and domestic, but we definitely give preference to our international students to get experience. And it's a multitude of opportunities, just so that they can also beef up their resume, right, while they're a student. Yeah.
Absolutely. I remember when I was in college, I was working at the massage center. I was like the person at the reception. It was really interesting. Like, I've never been in a hospitality situation before, so it was a learning curve, like talking to clients and understanding their requirements and, you know, kind of like mitigating issues. So yeah, I think that's a really great opportunity that if you can work on campus, I think that teaches you a lot.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
and
great.
I feel for international students, getting that Canadian experience is so difficult to break, and so if they do that while they're a student, it's just so much more valuable when they're actually looking for, their full-time job upon graduation.
Oh, yeah, that's actually, I didn't even think about that. And that also makes a good segue to our question from our audience. Is there any advice you would give to students who want to study in Canada?
Well, yes, so much, and our office is, we exist because we love supporting students. I think my biggest sort of tip would be to do your research. Find out um, find out more about not just the institution but the city that you're interested in living. I've lived in 4 different cities in my life and 2 in Canada. And Aswati, you're in Vancouver, so we're coast to coast. I'm in Toronto right now. Um, it's so different. The lifestyle. So it's good to do your research, talk to other students at the institution that you're interested in, not just the faculty members, not just your admission officer. Seek out what other students are saying about the institution. Find your people in whether it's online, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and yeah, just do your research. And if you have any questions, reach out. Don't be afraid to ask. I know a lot of students have sort of this nervous, like, how do I ask the question, or am I going to sound weird, or and no question is a stupid question. We've heard it all. We love hearing from our students. We engage on several different platforms, and so yeah, just do your research and don't be afraid to ask questions. That would be my take.
Great. Yeah, that was tough for me too, to ask questions. But when I did finally move out of my hometown and come, I realized that people are nicer. Like, people are nice. They will answer your questions and they know where you are. And so all the inhibitions that you have is mostly just was mostly just in my mind. So do try, stepping out of your comfort zone really does help.
And I just say, like, where I don't want to ignore that we're all we're all living in sort of this pandemic situation or scenario, if you will, and so we want to acknowledge that, and we talk to prospective students, and we tell them you don't need to put your education on hold. Centennial has been able to pivot and offer many programs online, and students have an option to choose between hybrid and online and synchronous and asynchronous formats. And what that means is, synchronous is like when the faculty member is available, and you would have live classes, versus recorded content and accessing it at your own time in your own time zone.
Right.
And so we have different formats of program delivery, and we're telling students, don't put your dreams on hold. Just reach out to us and connect with us, and we can guide you with finding the best program to suit your needs.
Perfect. I don't have to say anything after that. That was Nadia's advice and suggestion, so I do hope you guys take it. But you did mention courses, Nadia, so I think one of the questions that we get on our Instagram a lot is about courses and what is offered. And so I'm sure you offer a lot of courses. So if you could just tell us, like, what are one of the few popular courses that a lot of international students take?
I was thinking, I definitely can't name one because, from engineering and technology to our community and health studies, and hospitality and tourism is pretty big. Our as I was mentioning before, our postgraduate programs in our School of Business are highly sought after. Students pick us because of our sort of hands-on experience and dedicated faculty members who provide that valuable industry connection. So I think, with regards to like some of even the more technical, like we have a brand new campus that is specializing in aviation technology. It's so niche, but it's for students who are interested in that. It's going to be like, it's state of the art facility. And so it's hard for me to name, one or two popular courses. We have such a broad range. And so I would strongly encourage students to reach out to us, and our admission officers can definitely connect you with faculty members, and we can find the right course for you.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that, because I can now direct people who are interested in a specific course or a specific college to the right person. So I was going through your website, and I just wanted to get to know a little bit more about what you have to offer. And I did see that there is an option for financial assistance. Something that I think our viewers would be interested to know is, in general, what is financial assistance and how is it different from, say, a scholarship? And especially for international students, how do they go about receiving financial assistance?
Yeah, this is a popular question for us as well. So scholarships and even bursaries are most often based on merit, and they may have different sort of restrictions on them in terms of a student's immigration status. We do have scholarships available for international students. In fact, there are some that are only, you once a student is here, they would apply for it, and based on like it's an application form, and you have to meet certain requirements, and it's your GPA and sometimes country of origin, and it's based on the donor's guidelines. But financial assistance might take the form of, say, a loan or a payment plan. And at Centennial, we have a team of admission officers who would advise students on various payment plans that are based on their tuition for the program of their choice. So we offer. That's not my expertise, but and that's why I would refer students to the admission officers. But we do have options for international students.
Perfect. Thank you. So I think I did go through all the questions I had, and there were a few questions that you also answered for our audience. So thank you so much. I will ask you one last question. I want to know, what is your favorite part about working with international students who are choosing to study in Canada?
I have to say, students who want to travel abroad. Your sort of classical international student who thinks about travel abroad, expanding their horizons. They're the ones who want to, like expand their knowledge in ways like no other. Like, sure, they come to learn a new language maybe, or experience a new culture, and gain skills. But I also hear our students talk about their goals and dreams, and it has to do with personal development, and it has to do with taking risks, and it's about adventure. And I'm so inspired by their appetite to adapt. Their resilience is noteworthy, for lack of a better word, especially in these times. And for me personally, I'd say our students they're such great witnesses to the work we do in embedding intercultural work and communication and global skills. I see them as as our next leaders. They play such a vital role in our communities, and it's and I guess that's my favorite part about it, is to foster the growth of these leaders and active citizens, because they're going to be our change makers, our peace workers in our communities.
Oh my God, I think so too. So thank you so much for saying that. I'm sure that, just talking about this has uplifted my spirits. I'm pretty sure it motivated a lot of our students as well. And that was our last question, Nadia. But thank you so much for joining us and giving us your input and your expertise. I'm pretty sure a lot of prospective students watching this have a lot to take away from this interview.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great. So, sorry guys, I muted it. That was NADIA D'LIMA from Centennial College. And it is now, so we're really grateful to have her. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can ask in the comments below. We will, if we don't address it today, we will ask it in later episodes. But for now, we have to go for CAEL Time with Brandi.
Today, we're going to start a little mini series about academic writing. And we're going to start today by looking at how to create proper sentence structures. Now, whether you're preparing to write the CAEL test or are completing assignments for college or university, it's really important to understand how to write academically. And that starts with very strong sentence structure. So today we're going to focus in on the compound sentence structure specifically. Now, academic writing is characterized by formal language, precise vocabulary, so the vocab is a lot more sophisticated, a lot higher level than the vocab you would use in day-to-day communication. And the sentences are also characteristically longer. So again, it's crucial to master the sentence structure so that people can understand clearly what it is you're trying to say. There are 4 different sentence types in English, namely simple sentences, compound, complex, and compound complex sentence structure. We are focusing today on compound sentences. We will get into complex sentences next week. So both of these sentence examples we see here before us are written in academic vocabulary, but the first group is written in simple sentence structure. So I'll read those sentences aloud just so we can get our minds around the ideas here. So it says, scientists should reanalyze established conclusions and facts. They can correct unwarranted biases. Now in the second group there at the bottom, these same 2 short sentences have been combined into one longer sentence. And this is our ultimate goal as we're writing academically. So it now reads, scientists should reanalyze established conclusions and facts so they can correct unwarranted biases. So you'll notice that the vocabulary and the order of the words is exactly the same from the top examples to the bottom. The only difference is that we've added in one small connecting word between them. So these words are called conjunctions. Conjunctions are used to combine different ideas together. There are different types of conjunctions in English. We are looking today at coordinating conjunctions because these are the types of conjunctions that are used to make compound sentence structure. So there are 7 coordinating conjunctions in English, and you see them here before you on the screen. They read for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Now you'll notice that each of these, the first letter of each word is red and underlined. And that's because if you were to read that word from the top to the bottom, you would spell out a funny word called fanboys. So this is not a real English word. In fact, this is what we call an acronym. So if you can remember the word fanboys, hopefully you'll remember each of the words that start with those letters. So the F would remind you of for, and the A would stand for and so on. So the first step of creating compound sentences is to remember these words. We have to memorize them, and we also have to understand the meaning behind each one so that we can select the correct conjunction to connect ideas together. So we'll look at a couple more examples here of some academically written compound sentences using different conjunctions. So the first one says, city engineers have received critical acclaim for their creatively designed workspaces, but the city has halted future developments due to budget constraints. So here the word but is our conjunction, and you notice that we've placed it right in the middle of these 2 ideas. And that's where your coordinating conjunction belongs. You don't want to start with these words, you want to put them in the middle of the 2 ideas that you're combining together. You'll also notice that there's a comma right before the conjunction. And that's really important. That's the rule that we need to follow as we're setting up the structure properly. We've chosen the word but here because but indicates an opposite idea. All right, so we know that this the meaning of our sentence will properly be conveyed through this word. The example at the bottom reads, students can find the prerequisite courses needed for their field of study on the college website, or they can request a meeting with their academic advisor to discuss course options. So once again, our conjunction or is found right in the middle of these 2 ideas we're combining. We put a comma right before the conjunction. And the reason we've selected or this time is because the word or indicates a choice. So again, that's the meaning that we're trying to convey here. So there's quite a bit to remember when you're writing compound sentences. You first have to know what those 7 conjunctions are. You have to understand the meaning behind each one. And you have to remember that they belong in the middle of the 2 ideas that you're combining, and to put a comma directly before that word. Okay, so to get into the structure of the compound sentence, we really have to master how to write a simple sentence. So it's important to remember that every single simple sentence that we create has to have a subject and a predicate. Now we're going to start by looking at the subjects because these are the people or the things that the sentence is all about. And the subjects have been underlined for us here. So we have scientists and they in the two different sentences in the top. Now you'll notice that these same sentences themselves are written again at the bottom on either side of the conjunction so. So that reminds us that we always have to put a subject in the clause that comes before the conjunction, and a subject has to also follow the part of the sentence after the conjunction so. We'll next look at the verbs. Okay, I've highlighted them yellow just to keep them separate from the rest of the sentence. So we know that the scientists here should reanalyze. That's the action that they should be doing. And they can correct. So again, every single sentence has to have a completed subject and verb. Now, I mentioned earlier the word predicate. And a predicate is just a complete idea that tells us information about our subject. So reading here, if I were to say scientists should reanalyze, if I were to stop talking altogether, my idea would not make sense. So I have to add in what they should reanalyze. So that's what these words do. So this entire idea is known as the predicate, and this is my subject. And the same happens here. I've got my subject. All of these words need to go together to complete the idea. So we call that the predicate. So again, down here, you've got the subject and predicate on one side of this conjunction, and you have a subject and a predicate on the other side of the conjunction. So think of this as a balance. When you're writing compound sentence structures, whatever you do to the first half of the sentence, you also have to make sure you include in the second half. So subject and predicate goes on both sides of that conjunction. Okay, so just to make it hopefully easier to remember this, I'm going to introduce one more little grammatical word for us here. When we have a complete subject and predicate, so the sentence is complete, you'll notice that is what a simple sentence does. We call that an independent clause. So just think for a minute what the word independent means. If you are an independent person, it means that you are strong enough to do things on your own. I always like to think of that as applied to the sentence structure. So if a sentence is independent, it too then must be strong enough to stand all by itself. That means it's complete and I don't have to add any more information to it. Okay, so that's what an independent clause does. It's really important to note that because there are different types of clauses and they're used in different ways throughout English. We're going to look at different types of clauses next week. But for today, for this session, I'm really wanting us to narrow in on the independent clause. That's what forms the basic sentence structure. All right, each independent clause here on the screen has been placed within red brackets so that we can track them. So a simple sentence is an independent clause. So we've got two of them up at the top. And you'll notice that each of those simple sentences have simply been connected together in the bottom to create the compound sentence structure. So what that means then is you're literally writing an independent clause on both sides of the conjunction, in this case, so. Okay, so just to finish off and make sure we've remembered all of these rules, because I know I've just shared quite a bit of information with you, I want to do a little bit of error correction. So I've written here what's meant to be a compound sentence, but there's one mistake that really needs to be fixed. So I'm going to give you just about 5 seconds or so to see if you can find it, and then I'll show you what needs to be done to correct. Okay, make sure you've got a subject and predicate on both sides of the conjunction. Double check the conjunction is correct and that the punctuation mark is there. Can you spot the error? So what was missing here actually was the subject in the second part of that sentence. I've added the word in blue in the bottom. So in the first half of the sentence, my best friend is the subject. So I need to refer to the subject again in the second half. So in this case, if my best friend is a woman, I'm going to use she. If the best friend was a man, I could have said he. All right, it was really up to you and the meaning you want to partake. The verbs have been highlighted yellow as well, just to keep track of them. And you'll notice that the idea makes sense now. We do have a complete predicate on both sides of the conjunction. So all it took to fix this mistake was to add one word, but it's an important word. It forms the subject of the entire clause. So now it's correct and we can move on. All right, this second sentence reads, I emailed a scanned copy of my university transcripts to the office of the registrar, so officials told me that I needed to mail original copies. Okay, so try at home there to identify your subject and predicate on both sides of the conjunction. Double check the conjunction itself and look for your punctuation mark. I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, so here actually my structure was pretty strong. I had a subject and predicate on both sides, but what was incorrect was the actual choice of conjunction that I used. In this case, this is an opposite meaning. I'm sending the university transcripts in very different ways. So the best or the only appropriate conjunction in this case would be but. All right, I suppose you could use yet. That is another coordinating conjunction. They mean the same thing, but the word but is a little bit more commonly used. So we'll stick with that one. So we simply replace the word so with the word but, and we've corrected the error. The meaning makes sense and we can move on. Last one today, this one says, Comet Neowise is one of the brightest comets to be observed in the Northern Hemisphere, so it can be seen with the naked eye. Okay, so last time, check your subject and predicate on both sides of the conjunction. Check the conjunction is correct. Check for your punctuation mark. Can you find the error? Right, this one was hopefully an easier fix still. You didn't have to fix any words whatsoever. The structure is fine, but the only thing missing is the comma. So we're going to add the comma back in right before the word so. That is the rule with compound writing, with coordinating conjunctions. Okay, and again, it's crucial because as we get into further writing practices throughout your university studies, you might be combining 2, 3, sometimes even 4 clauses together. So adding a comma after each independent clause or main idea is presented is going to help your reader chunk that information down into manageable pieces. So it's easier to understand in the long run. All right, so I hope that you're leaving today with a couple of tips about how to create proper compound sentence structures. Next week, we're going to look at how to create complex sentences, and then we'll get into some paragraph writing. Thanks so much for joining, and I hope to see you next week.
Thank you, Brandi. So I hope that gave you a little bit more insight into academic writing, and Brandi will be back every week with more tips on writing and tips on how you can ace your CAEL test. So please subscribe to our channel if you haven't already and click on the bell icon to get a notification when we go live. And if you have asked questions in the comments below, please note that we will make sure it is answered either in the next episode or when Brandi is live with us. So our next task at hand is to find out who the author of our quote is. I shared a quote early on today on the show, paper isn't important, it's the words on them that are important. And this was said by none other than Margaret Atwood. It is said in one of her books, The Blind Assassin. Some of you may know her as the author of The Handmaid's Tale, which is also a popular show on HBO. But if you like reading, you should check out The Blind Assassin. As usual, Margaret Atwood does her magic in this novel. It is a suspense and it has a book within a book. So it is a challenging read for those of you who like reading. Do check it out. Because I know what I'm reading next. It is now time to go to our news updates. So if you are an international student living abroad in Canada, abroad or in Canada, you may be eligible for the CAEL scholarship. If you took the CAEL test on or after July 2020, you can win 5,000 Canadian dollars towards your tuition. I will link our scholarship page below and you can check it out. And if you have any comments or doubts, please let us know in the comments below and we will try to answer your question. The CAEL test can now be taken at home in Canada. I spoke about this briefly before, but you can register via the link in the description below. It is a 3.5-hour test that needs to be taken in a private room. And your scores, whether you take your test online or in a test center, can be sent to 5 Canadian institutions of your choice for no added cost. So do check out our options, guys. I will link the CAEL test center and online testing options in the description below. Now, I know that a lot of international students are not in Canada and are hoping that our CAEL Online will open near them soon, and it will. We are working very hard to make sure that a center is open near you. So one thing you can do is enter your email ID into the notification bar on our website. CAEL.ca, that's CAEL.ca. It is a red headline at the top of our page, and it will notify you when CAEL Online is available near you. This is a very innovative product, and I'm really glad because this brings international education a lot more closer. So that's it for our news updates. We have yet another exciting episode planned for you for next week on the 20th at 11 a.m. PST. So please do join us, and please also invite anybody else who is interested in studying in Canada. So until next week, see you, and please stay safe. Bye.